Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I equivocated on doing this. Caitlin Johnstone came out with an article today. Look, I get it, man. On some level, I get people having to go at you and people biting at you and taking issue with you, and you as a person realize that what they're saying is completely not true. There's no basis in reality, and because there's no basis in reality, it bugs the shit out of you. I get it. Look, like I said, man, I don't like minutia because most of the time I don't care. I also said that I don't like fairness. I don't like people being unfair, particularly to other people in a sense, and I do feel like they're being massively unfair. This gets into this weird, tricky subject of race. And at the point where you take it to the level of calling a white person racist, you've sucked all the air out the room. You have. And in doing so, you're being massively unfair, massively disingenuous, particularly in this case. Let's bake it into the cake that we have a complex history in this country. Let's bake it into the cake also that people grow with the way that they grow. You're going to have 20% of the population that hate my guts. But you're also going to have a percentage of the population that's so based in their identity that they have a hard time seeing things beyond their identity. Beyond that, you have also these aspects. And let's talk about the left in this case. Regardless of whether the person is white or black or anything else, sometimes when you're interacting with other people of other races, there's a certain level of awkwardness there. That awkwardness, it's not intentional. That awkwardness is just being people and not necessarily knowing how to interact with that person and wanting to do so in a way that doesn't. It's almost as if you're working off of certain conceptions. You have a particular conception in your head of who that person is. That person has a conception in their head of who you are, and you guys are trying to dance around that in some way. I had a boss. Well, he's still my boss, actually. He owns the company. A nice guy, white guy. I didn't know he was the boss of my company at the time. And he says, hey, let's go out to lunch. All right, let's go out to lunch. And as we were walking out, he says, Obama has been the best president we've ever had in this country. Okay. I would vote for him a third time. I said, I think Obama was a horrible president and he didn't go far enough. And he said he was one thing and he wasn't those things. And now we have Trump in this country. I didn't go so far as to say Trump. I made the point to him that, no, I don't necessarily think that. I think he was a horrible president. I think in regards to the things that he did, he was massively tepid in regards to what he was doing. This incrementalism doesn't work. He wasn't hired to be incremental. He was hired to do a goddamn job. A job that he said he was going to do and that he didn't do. That's my perspective on it. Now, as an African American, I'm stuck in this weird situation of, is this guy telling me that he loves Obama that much because he wants to endear himself to me? If he wants to endear himself to me, is he being racist? Or is he actually just trying to relate to me? It's a weird spot. I have no idea. I have no clue. I don't think the guy's racist. I think he's trying to endear himself to me. But you can see as an African American, it's a weird spot to be in. It's particular, it's strange, it's peculiar. That's a situation that you bump into quite often, actually, particularly when you're dealing with lefties. They're stuck in this quagmire of either white guilt or not necessarily wanting to be tied by the things that took place in the past. Both of those responses, to some degree, are wrong. Treat me as a person. Deal with me as an individual. But you can understand that that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And so you end up bumping into yourself, dealing with these things. And I deal with this stuff with a certain level of compassion because I look at it as they're people just like I'm a person. I need to be empathetic in regards to how I do things. I am going to misunderstand people. I am going to fuck up. I am going to say things that I'm going to regret saying later. Would I want compassion in those things? Would I want a certain level of empathy in those things? If my answer is yes, then I need to give the same thing to somebody else. That's the way I function in the world. It's the way I try to function in the world. Don't always get it right. It's the way I try to function in the world. The Caitlin Johnstone piece hits on the issue of race, but not directly. It hits on the issue of race because people made an issue of race. Race had nothing to do with the article. They call it Horman a white nationalist, a white supremacist. These people have to be the most unintellectual, batshit crazy, backwards people in order to come to any conclusion that the woman is a racist or white nationalist. And understand, none of this is coming from anything she said. They have nothing of her saying anything bad or racist or anything else. All of this derived from an article in which she said, if you find somebody on the right that you want to work with, to the degree that you can work with them, work with them. She never defined what working with mean per se, or I don't think she fully defined it. I think she said if something comes up where you want to tweet it, tweet it. Tweet it to the degree that you want to tweet it. Interact with the person to the degree that you want to act with. The person she used was Mike Chernovich. And they took the term Mike Chernovich and ran with it. There's no there there. There's no there there. Any honest intellectual look at what her piece, it made a point. In the same way that they got enthralled by Obama using substance or using style versus substance. Same thing here. Style versus substance. The substance of what she said gets completely missed. All for the style and the way she said it. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And in doing so, dragging other people into it. So Tim Black gets pulled into it. He gets himself into a tizzy. H.A. Goodman gets pulled into it. He's out there being H.A. Look, guys, I can't tell you guys how to be. You guys have been doing this longer than I have. So don't take this as that. I would just say this is advice. And I'm talking to H.A., Tim, and Caitlin. You build your audience. You build your audience. You trust your audience. Either your audience believes that you're a white supremacist. Either they believe that you're racist. Either they believe that you're trying to hug a Nazi. And if they believe that, then they're not your audience. They don't know you at all. Let those people go. Those people are idiots. And those people are idiots that would have left you at some point or another. Your audience are the people who would understand when you say something like that, are bright enough to understand the point that you're trying to make, are intellectually honest enough to give you the benefit of the doubt when you're trying to make a point like that. That's your audience. Your audience will be there with you. There will be times where your audience disagrees with you. Their audience will still be there with you after the disagreement. There will be times where you say something that your audience will say, oh man, yeah, I don't agree with that particular point, but that person is still there. Because for the most part, they understand, or at very least get who you are enough, where it's not enough for them to let you go. It's not enough for them to piss off. They understand who you are. Particularly Tim Black. Tim Black has been doing this long enough that you certainly damn sure understand who the guy is. If the guy has to come on and tell you who he is, then you haven't been watching this channel, and you can piss off. You can piss off. That has to be the stance. Your audience is going to be there for you. Your audience is the person who you're trying to culture. Your audience are the people who are stomping for you, who are reading your pieces, who are engaging you when you're online. Sometimes they may say things that you don't particularly like, but oftentimes they're still there. Uncle Joe, on my case, the guy, I could say something, Uncle Joe gets pissed off completely. He would make his grievance felt, and yet he will still be there in the next article. They're your audience. They're the people who are there to try to understand you, and they're the people who are going to be there when you grow your stuff. Those are the people who you write your stuff for. These other people who are trying to find bones to pick and trying to find things to bitch about and complain about and moan about, that look for ridiculousness to bring up. Those people aren't your audience. Don't spend time on those people. That's my advice. I read part of the article. She was in her feelings. She was pissed off. Like she said, I write from the level that I'm at, and right now I'm pissed off. Don't let people who for the most part aren't real, who aren't trying to engage you honestly, who are just looking to pick a fight, don't let those people define what you do, and don't let those people occupy a moment of your thoughts or a moment of your time. You've explained yourself once. You've explained yourself twice. After the first time explaining yourself, let them piss off. If they want to talk, if they want to scream your name, let them scream your name. That's on them. That has absolutely nothing to do with you. you have a single unit of consciousness somewhere that has an opinion, whip the fucking do. There are 350 million opinions on this planet. I mean, in this country. So what? So what? Do you really know those people? How many of those people do you honestly believe are really your audience? How many of those people, really, honestly, the people who actually watch you and who actually stump for you, who actually stand up for you, the silent majority who reads your work, do you honestly believe that that silent majority thinks this garbage is true? They don't. The real left, and I'm not saying the real left in that way, I'm saying the left in the sense of not the regressive left, not those people who for the most part look for these gotchas and all this other stuff. None of that. The real left, the libertarian left, the left that looks at people and saying, let people have their say in things, being intellectually honest in the way they regard things. That left understood what your piece was saying. That's your audience. That's your audience. Live in your audience. The other people can go fuck themselves. That's what I feel about it. That's what I've always felt about it. When I started the channel, that's the way I started the channel. When I met my wife, I made a certain assumption. I stuck by that assumption because that assumption covered me like armor. If she doesn't want to deal with me because of illness or anything else, that's perfectly okay. There are no hard feelings. You can have your way. You can leave at any time. I've always told her that. She hates it when I say it, but I mean it every time I say it. Don't invest your feelings in these things. You have a life. You have a life. This is what you do when you're putting information out because you want to change the world. Anything that you do is going to kick up dust, one way or the other. It's just the way it is. There's no way around it. You're going to get people that get mad at something that you say, even when you say the most tepid of things. You're throwing bombs. You're throwing bombs to some degree to make a point. The person that you use was somewhat of a bomb thrower. He was there to make a point. Some people got your point. Some people didn't. The people that didn't weren't trying to. They just want to pick a fight. Let them have their fight. That has nothing to do with you. Move on. That's my advice. Move on. Let them do what they do. You be who you be and you build your audience. Your work is fucking phenomenal. Keep it that way. You don't have to be in your feelings when you're writing pieces like this. It's completely unnecessary. Don't let them see you sweat in that particular case. Don't let them see that they got their hands on you or anything else. It's unnecessary. So, if anything, you've heard me say it before, I'll say it again. You have my full-throated support. I've heard you say nothing or do anything that I would consider racist, bad, harmful, anything else. I love your work. Keep doing it the way that you're doing it. Hold your shape. As you said, hold your shape. So, I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.